Alright, hey guys, welcome to LeetCode 20, valid parentheses. In this challenge, we are given a string of S containing just the characters of our opening closing brackets, our curly brackets, squiggly brackets, and our square brackets. So, and an input string is valid if the open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets, open brackets must be closed by in the correct order, and every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So in this case, what it would be looking for is that if we were given this, this would be true. The same goes for, oops, let me get this correct. This would also be true, and this would be correct. However, you couldn't have something like this and this, right? This is not correct. This doesn't pass the condition. Another example of what would be true is something like if we had a bracket here and we had a square bracket and we had a squiggly bracket, we could have, as long as the squiggly bracket closes and then the square bracket closes and then the curly bracket closes, this would be correct. This would pass, right? And so essentially what we're looking to do is use a stack in this case, right? I think that makes the most sense. So what a stack is essentially, let's say we had a container and we add one box, right? The box goes to the bottom. When we add something else, that will go on top. So now we'll have, let's call this number 1. We'll call this number 2. Or let me get rid of this. We'll call this number 2, right? This is 1. And then whenever we try to get something from out of the box, obviously we can only take the first one out. So we take number 3 out, and then we take number 2 out, and then we can take out number 1, right? And so in this case, the way this would work would be that for us to have let's say a functional solution, right? We'll have, let's say we had 3 boxes that were added. So in the beginning, if we had something like this, and this, right? What we'll do is that we will add this number 1 to here. We'll then add this number 2 to here. And then we'll add this number 3 to here. You get the idea of what this is supposed to be. And then what we would look to do is we'll compare this to our first item in our stack, right? So if this equals to the first item, we'll get rid of this item in our stack. So we'll essentially pop our stack. So we'll take this one out, right? And then, so this number 3, this is matched. This is matched for full, cool. We'll then have this one in which, well, this and this matches. So we can take this one out to the stack. So this is correct. And then we'll compare for this one, which it also matches, so this is correct. And so now that our stack is empty, we will return true, that our string is valid, right? However, let's say we had something more along the lines of, so this is the squiggly, and this is here. Well, we'd be comparing this immediately to this, and we can't pop this. And therefore, because we can't pop this, we're going to, or can't remove this, we're going to then return this as an incorrect, or rather a false string. So in terms of code, this is hopefully, I think, pretty easy to understand, right? So first we're gonna create our stack, right, that we discussed. So we're gonna call this stack. It's gonna take our character and we'll just call it stack, right? And we'll have a new stack. Not M, this one and this one. Cool. Now we want to iterate through our characters in the string, and we can then add them to our stack, right? So in this case, we're going to do a for each loop, which will state that for each loop, so char C will go through s.to char array. Yeah. And inside of our for each loop, this is where we'll push our opening brackets, right? We need to make sure that it's starting with the opening bracket and then the closing bracket. It can't be the closing bracket first, then the opening bracket. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't make sense, right? So here, I'll just leave a little space. So here we have if C equals our bracket, our first curly bracket, right? Or, let me just reach down the other keyboard, or C equals our, let's say, curly bracket, or, oops, sorry, or C equals our square bracket, then what we want to do is we want to stack dot push whatever C is, right? Cool. So now we want, after our if statement, we're going to have our else statement, right? So if this isn't the case, then we're going to, let me just leave a little bit of space like this. Cool. So then if the stack, so if it's a closing bracket, we're going to check for the matching opening bracket, right? So in this case, we're going to do if stack.is empty, then, or the top doesn't match, right? So matches, we want stack.peak, and we'll have C passed in. Cool. So then we're going to do stack, oops. So this is in our if statement, right? And if this is the case, we're going to return false. Sorry, we'll return false, right? Because if we have an empty stack, right, or we don't match the top of our peak of our stack, our whatever C is, so if C is a closing bracket or whatever, it doesn't match one of these, then we're going to return false, right? And then the same in our else statement, we're going to then stack.pop our matching opening bracket, right? If they're matching. So now we're going to check if the stack is empty, right? So we want to return stack.isEmpty, right? So this is just checking if we have a valid string. And then we're going to have our helper method to check if the brackets match, right? So we're going to do a private boolean, right? And we'll call this matches, and we'll have char open and char close, right? And then we're going to return open equals curly bracket and our close, sorry, and where is that on my keyboard here? And close equals close bracket, right? And we'll just do this, and I'll just add or. So now we want 3 of these. So take your time and copy those 3. So we're going to do exactly the same, but for the other type of brackets. If you're wondering how I instantly copied them, if you do Shift, Alt, and down arrow, it will copy that line down. If you do up arrow, it'll copy it up as well. Same thing. Anyway, so this should hopefully be our solution, provided I didn't spell anything wrong or type anything wrong, which it looks like I did. Of course. Ooh, something's wrong here. Oh, we don't want 3 returns. Maybe you shouldn't do that. You should just copy it out properly instead of doing what I did. There we go. That looks nice and tidy. There we go. Good runtime, decent memory. Hopefully an easy enough to understand solution. Anyway, please like, subscribe if that made sense, if that was helpful. Otherwise, comment and let me know what you didn't understand or what I maybe could have explained better. Anything like that. Anyway, catch you in the next one. Bye.